Welcome to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast, where we talk about homesteading stuff and life stuff and everything in between. Join me, Amy Dingman, as we explore big questions on a little farm. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Farmish Kind of Life podcast, where we talk about life, whether that's happening on the farm or happening off the farm, has nothing to do with the farm, because it all matters. It's all life. Thank you for joining me here at episode 257. Today is November 21st, 2023. Today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about how I don't think we all actually know what we actually have. And it seems like a very Thanksgiving type topic to talk about. But this really has more to do with the regular everyday life than the upcoming holidays, which is when we normally talk about topics like this. But we will get into that. Before we get to that, what has been happening here at the Lifestead? Well, butchering update. We did get all the pigs butchered, so we're thankful to have that happen. I did mention in last week's episode that I wanted to learn how to cut the pig into primals and then, cut them into chops and roasts and all that other stuff. I've watched my husband do that a million times, but I've never done it myself. So he took the time to teach me how to do those things. And I did those things on 4 halves of pigs. So hopefully I've got it down. There were some parts I thought were easier than others, but I'm glad to say that I now kind of have that skill. So that's fabulous. We did not get our ducks butchered. I tend to forget how long things take. Butchering for pigs is a 3-day process, not a 2-day process. I forgot that day 3 is the smoking of all the things. And we actually had an issue with our smoker on day 3. And so it actually took 4 days to complete all the smoking. We haven't even touched the baking yet, obviously, because that's sitting in a brine for about 2 weeks. We will be smoking that eventually. But yeah, got that done. It's awesome, but didn't get haven't even touched the ducks yet. So we still got stuff to do on the farm. Also, as an addendum to last week's podcast, I did drive the tractor a bunch, especially on Butcher Day. And so I'm excited about that. Once I get back into it, I remember how to do it. My husband pretty much made me drive the tractor that entire day for all the things we needed it for when we were butchering the pigs and moving the pigs and all of that. There was one thing he did not allow me to do because he didn't feel that I was at that level of tractor driving yet. And I was real glad that he didn't have me doing it. I need to work up to that, but we'll get there, right? We'll get there. He said, pretty soon, girl, you're going to be doing anything you want on this tractor. So it is always exciting to get good at those skills. One other thing that I do want to point out to you, I should have mentioned this last week, and it totally slipped my mind because of all the butchering we were trying to get done. But I was on the Fair Hill Farmstead Life podcast back on November 9th. And I meant to tell you that last week, but it slipped my mind. And so I want you guys to go find the Fair Hill Farmstead Life podcast. I know you can find it on Spotify. I don't know where else it's at. But Judith interviewed me. We had a really great conversation. It's a long form podcast, so the interview does end up being about 90 minutes long. We talk about all sorts of different things. We ended up really focusing on food, and the episode is called Cooking Up a Farmish Kind of Life with Amy Dingman, and it really gets talking about how food is so important to nourishing the home and nourishing the family. And I didn't really know what we were going to be talking about, but we ended up talking about all sorts of wonderful things. We did end up, I will say she shared a story with me about carrot pie, my carrot pie recipe. She shared this story with me about how carrot pie has kind of affected her life, changed her life. And I laughed so hard. We were laughing so hard that it was one of those, belly hurts, can't breathe. And I thought she was going to edit it out of the podcast, and she didn't. And I'm so thankful because it was such a real conversation. And I hope that when you hear the podcast interview, you get as much of a giggle as I did. So go check that out, especially if you're looking for something long form to listen to. It is Fair Hill Farmstead Life podcast with Judith. So that was fun. All right. Main topic. Let's get over here to my other set of notes. All right. So I titled this, You Don't Even Know What You Have. And there's a couple reasons for this. A couple weeks ago, I was looking for a book in my Kindle. I have a Kindle Paperwhite. I was looking for a book in the Kindle because I wanted to take a picture of the cover. Okay, I needed a picture of the cover on my Kindle for something I was doing. And so I'm going through all the books in my Kindle, trying to find this book I'm looking for. The search thing isn't working. And so I'm scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And you guys, there are so many books in my Kindle. So many books in my Kindle. Way more books than I even realized. And yet, I'll just keep loading more books, right? I just keep loading more and more and more books. And when I want something to read, I have nothing to read, right? And I go load another book. Or I look at the books that I have to read and I'm like, I'm not in the mood to read those books. Or I don't have time to read all the books I've loaded. The point is that my Kindle is full of books. So many books. Okay, so I was thinking about that. And the same day that I'm realizing how many books I have in my Kindle, I was looking in the cabinet above our coffee maker, which is where we keep all of our coffee and our tea. And I'm realizing just how many boxes of tea we have. Boxes and boxes and boxes of different teas. I did not realize how many boxes of tea we had. And then a couple days later, I look in my closet and I realize how many clothes I have that I don't wear. Now, we live in a 1960s farmhouse, and the closet in our bedroom is incredibly small, especially when you compare it to closets in more modern houses. So when I say I have a lot of clothes, it's not like I have some Kardashian level walk-in closet crammed full of stuff, right? And I've been in an interesting kind of change here, obviously, because when I got the office job that I took 18 months ago, I clearly had to go out and purchase some clothing because farm clothing is a little different than office clothing. So now I'm kind of in the process of, I got to have a whole bunch of office clothes. I'm not going to wear those office clothes if I'm not working in an office anymore. So I've been donating those to people, giving those to people. So the closet is in a whole morph right now. But the point is, when I'm on the farm, home on the farm, I will sometimes wear the same outfit 3 days in a row, right? You know what I'm saying? So why do I have a closet rack full of clothes? Why? And I was thinking about, it's almost like we're surrounded by stuff, right? All the books in the Kindle, all the boxes of tea, all the books on the shelf, all the clothes in the closet, all the stuff on our table. We're surrounded by all this stuff and we're blind to it. We don't even see it anymore. It's like it blends into the background. Now, I did talk about this topic in my book, It's Not About Money, Except When It Is. And I did run a free promo on that a couple weeks ago. So if you grabbed that, make sure you check out chapter 5, which is called Use the Stuff You Buy, because it talks about this topic a little bit more in depth. And side note, if you did grab that book on the free promo that I ran, please go into Amazon, leave a review, because that's just such a great thing to help that book get noticed more on Amazon. Okay, that's my side note. Back to our topic here. This topic about being surrounded by stuff and being blind to it, not realizing what we have, it kind of sounds like I'm scolding you, or I'm trying to make you all thoughtful and selfless as we head into Thanksgiving and Christmas and thankfulness and gift giving, because that's what we talk about at this time of year, right? So it sounds like I'm scolding you, but that's not my point, because the irony in this topic is that we always bring this topic up at gift giving time when it's really something that slides into our life more in all the small daily things that we do and all the small daily things that we bring into our life. I think gift giving is really awesome. I think it's fun. I don't think you should be afraid to bless people with some things they might want or not have that you can give them. Okay, Christmas is the only time that my family exchanges gifts. And so, like, Christmas is fun and we do that. And I'm not here to tell you don't exchange gifts and, get all crazy with that. What I am here to tell you today is to pay attention to everything else that creeps into your life that you're absolutely blind to as you buy another box of tea that will still be sitting there this time next year because you have so much tea you can't possibly drink it all. I'm telling you to pay attention to, buying another button-down top that you're not going to wear, or another book you're not going to get to read, or another canning jar that's going to sit with the other 700 canning jars that you haven't used in a decade. That's what I'm talking about here. All this stuff that we have that we don't see, that blends into the background, and we just keep adding to. And I know we've got some preppers in this community, so sometimes this conversation can be really hard to zero in on because the kind of knee-jerk reaction is usually, well, yeah, I have all that stuff, so I'm prepared. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother episode. And I actually talked about that back in episode 64. I think it was called The Problem with Stuff. And I was talking about decluttering on the homestead. So if you want to hear more about that, you can go check out episode 64 of the Farmish Kind of Life podcast. If you can't find that in your podcast app, you can always go to my website, farmishkindoflife.com. You can go to the podcast tab, and every single podcast episode that I have done is listed there, and you can access it there right on my website. So we all have piles of stuff somewhere in our life that we are blind to, and we just keep shoving more stuff on top of it. And I'm not saying you should go all Marie Kondo? You shouldn't go all Marie on it and pick up every item and see if it brings you joy. No, I'm not talking about that. But, if you had to pick up every item that you have, you'd probably be really surprised about how many things you were picking up, right? If you had to pick a room and say, I'm going to pick up every item in this room and see if it brings me joy, you'd be like, oh, look at this cool thing I found. I forgot I had this. Oh, why do I have this? I don't even need this anymore. It would be like a whole thing, right? Like when you tell little kids to clean their room, and then they get lost in cleaning the room because while they're cleaning their room, they find those toys that they lost, and then they spend the rest of the day playing with that toy. Adults do that too. It's just a little bit different. So I want you to consider this, okay? Here's some questions to think about. If you had to read all the books in your Kindle before you downloaded more, how long would it take you? You guys, I would never get through all the books. There is no possible way for me to get through all the books that I have in my Kindle. And I just keep loading more because I'm a writer and I want to support other authors. But do you get the point that I'm saying? If you had to read all the books in your Kindle before you downloaded more, how long would it take you? If you had to drink all the tea in your cabinet before you bought more tea, how long would it take you to get through all those tea bags? How long would it take you? If you had to wear every seasonally and situationally appropriate top in your closet before you could start the process over again and wear something a second time, how long would it take you to get through your closet? Now, I think this whole we don't know what we have is the same reason that it's suggested that we keep gratitude journals. So gratitude journal is kind of where you write down 3 things every day that you're thankful for, right? Beginning of the day, end of the day, whenever you want to do it. And when you're keeping a gratitude journal, you're supposed to look beyond my spouse, my kids, my house, my dog, my job, food on the table. Those kind of things. When anyone asks us what we're thankful for, that's what we're going to say. It's all those things that would be in our speech if we were to get up on the stage and accept an Oscar, right? A gratitude journal helps you to see the stuff underneath the stuff that's underneath all the other stuff. Because you can't just keep writing spouse, kids, dog every single day. You can't just keep writing that. You look beyond that. And it kind of opens your eyes to all the stuff that's around you. It makes you look for different things that you're thankful for. What else do you have? What else are you thankful for? Is it the string of lights that turned green as you approached every single intersection while you were driving on a busy downtown road? Is it that there was just enough coffee left to brew one more pot when your aunt dropped by unexpectedly? Is it the fact that your dog came back when you called her, and by some kind of miracle she did not go after the rabbit she saw in your yard? Is it the podcast you were listening to that made you remember something that completely solved the plot hole in the novel you were writing? It's little things like that. Spend some time today considering all those big and little hidden things that you have, because I bet you're going to figure out and remember that you've got a lot. I hope you guys have a super happy Thanksgiving. I hope you fill up your bellies with all the good food and have great conversations with your family. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and I will talk to you again soon. Hope you enjoyed the show today. To continue the conversation, visit our website at afarmishkindoflife.com, find A Farmish Kind of Life on social media, or drop me an email at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com. Peace, love, and bacon, y'all. Stay farmish.